Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Griffin, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how old you are at this moment?
I'm 19.
And do you work?
I do.
What do you do for a living?
I do sales at Ion Solar Pros.
At Iron what?
Ion Solar Pros.
Okay. Just keep your voice up, okay? You're soft-spoken. And how long have you been working where you're working?
About 7 months.
7 months. And are you nervous?
Yes.
And prior to today's testimony, have you and I met?
Yes.
And why did we meet?
Because of this instance.
Now I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022, okay? How old were you back then?
I was 16.
And were you in school?
I was.
Where were you in school?
I was a sophomore at Shelton High School.
And did you play any sports?
I played football and lacrosse.
Now, I want to direct your attention to around 6 p.m. on May 14th of 2022. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you were doing around that time?
I was getting ready and headed over to one of my friend's houses.
And what friend's house were you going to?
My friend Natalia.
And did you go there with anybody?
I went with my buddy Ryan Hines.
And how do you know Ryan Hines?
He moved to Shelton in 8th grade, and we played football together ever since then.
And when you got to Natalia's house, did you stay long?
Decently, not terribly. We were there for a few hours.
A few hours. And when you got to Natalia's house, what kind of things were you doing there?
There was a small group of us. We were just hanging out. Had a drink or two. It was really it, just kind of sitting around, hanging out.
And when you said you had a drink or two, what kind of things were you drinking?
Beers.
Beers. And you said you had two beers?
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you come to leave Natalia's house at some point in time?
Yeah.
And why did you leave Natalia's house?
So me and Hines were a little bit bored, and we had known that our buddy Austin Leifer was throwing a party, and I'd grown up with him, so I gave him a text. And I was like, hey, do you mind if me and Hines came? He told us, yeah, feel free, come on over. So we had basically my cousin Tanner pick us up, and he dropped us off there.
Now you say Austin Leifer. How do you know Austin Leifer?
I've known him since we were young, 4th grade. We played sports together, went to school together.
And they were having a party at their house?
Yeah.
And where does Austin live, if you can recall?
I don't know the number, maybe 5, Lazy Brook Road.
Lazy Brook Road?
Yeah.
And so at some point, your cousin Tanner, Tanner who?
Chernowski.
Okay, and is he your blood relative?
No, we've just known each other since we were born.
Okay. And at some point, Tanner comes and picks you and who else up?
Ryan.
Okay, just the two of you?
Yeah.
And when he picks you up, where does he take you?
To Austin's house.
Okay. And when you get to Austin's house, around what time of night was it?
I'm not sure, maybe around 10.
Okay. And when you got to Austin's house, who got out of the car?
Me and Hines.
Okay. And did Tanner get out of the car?
No, he left.
So Tanner just dropped you off and left?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got out of the car, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened during that sequence of events.
Me and Hines step out of the car, begin walking up the driveway.
Well, let me stop you there. Did you bring anything with you to Lazy Brook?
Hines had a 12-rack of beer.
12-pack of beer? What kind of beer was it?
I believe Bud Light.
Okay. And when you got out of the car, you and Hines, tell us what you and Hines did after that.
We began to go in. We entered the garage, and then we were encountered by 3 St. Joe's kids asking us basically who we were, which we expected. Like, what are we doing here, this and that. We told them Austin had invited us.
Sustained. I'm going to strike what Mr. Hines said or what the other person stated. So if you took a note on it, please discard it, strike it from your notes. It's not to be considered for evidence in this case, okay?
So without telling us what they said, did you have a conversation with these 3 individuals?
Yes.
And do you know who these 3 individuals were?
At that given time, they were just 3 SJ kids to me.
Do you know who they are now?
Yes.
And who are they?
Tyler De Silva, Jack Snyder, and Raul Valle.
Okay. And is Raul Valle in court today?
Yes, he is.
And what is he wearing?
Black suit.
And can you point him out for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness identified the defendant in this case?
Court will let the record reflect the witness identified the defendant. You may proceed.
And does the defendant have a nickname?
Yes,
What
Lito.
is his nickname?
Lito.
Lito? So when you and Hines got to the St. Joe's party, the defendant and his two friends confronted you
Yeah.
and Hines?
Yes.
And without telling us what anybody said, what was that confrontation like?
Between two dudes who never see each other, they were in a place where they were comfortable with, not knowing that was a place we were also comfortable with. So they were a little, who are you guys? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Kind of hostile, not really, but it escalates when one of them grabs Heinz's beer out of his hand. We move outside.
Well, let me stop you there. Before you move outside, does the defendant say anything to you or Hines when you're confronted by him and Tyler and Jack?
I don't remember specifically.
Okay. And at some point in time, someone takes Heinz's beer?
Yes.
Who takes Heinz's beer?
Jack Snyder.
And when that happens, what's the reaction that, if anything, that Hines has at that moment?
He's pissed off that someone just grabbed his beer out of his hand. So we move outside afterwards. The two of them conclude that they'd fight for the beer back.
Okay. And the two of them that you're referring to?
Hines and Jack Snyder.
Okay. And at some point in time, did they confront each other as if they were going to fight?
Yes.
Were you present and witnessed that
Yes.
happening? And when that happened, what, if anything, can you tell us about withdrawing? Based on your recollection, do you know if Tyler De Silva was present at that moment?
Yes.
And where was he standing at that moment?
So Hines and Snyder are looking at each other. De Silva's to Snyder's left.
So if you're Ryan and I'm
De Silva's right there.
so he's over to Jack's left.
Yes.
Okay. Was the defendant present when this was happening?
Yes.
And when do you recall where he was standing before when Jack and
He
Jack
was
around?
right here to Hines.
Behind him to his right?
Like peripheral.
Okay. Now, what do you recall about what happened next when you were witnessing this?
They both put their hands up. They're about to begin fighting, and the first punch was thrown, but by Lito from the back, and it hit Hines in this back side of the head, and then Hines instantly takes Snyder to the ground.
So if you're Jack and I'm Ryan, the defendant is here, and he punches Ryan in the face from behind?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, when that happens, what occurs next?
Hines instantly takes him to the ground, and this is like a 30-second thing that from start to finish. And once he gets to the ground, a girl they all knew was like trying to break it up. Lito had a motorcycle helmet on. He had taken it off and struck Hines with it once or twice, hit him in the head.
Now, when the fight starts after the defendant punches Ryan from behind, does anybody else jump in the fight?
Once they get to the ground, Lito hits him with the helmet. So yeah, I guess that's jumping into the fight.
Did Tyler jump into the fight?
The way they fell, I only saw like his upper body. I didn't see any fists, so maybe he kicked, but I'm not here to say yes
So
or
at
no.
some point in time, Jack and Ryan are engaged in a fight, and what do you witness the defendant do?
Hit him with the motorcycle helmet.
So he comes over and hits him with the helmet. How does he hit him with the helmet?
Takes it off and strikes him down on it twice, I believe.
Okay. Do you recall what Tyler De Silva was wearing that night?
A powder blue jersey. It was open, like a white shirt on, I think jeans.
And do you recall what the defendant was wearing that night?
Also a powder blue shirt with black, I think, sweatpants.
And do you recall what Jack Snyder was wearing that night?
A red hoodie and black sweatpants.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 53 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 53?
Yes.
And what is 53?
A picture of Jack Snyder and the defendant.
And is this, did you take this picture?
No.
Now, is this how you remember what the defendant was wearing on the night in question?
Yes.
And is this a picture accurately reflect what Jack was wearing that night?
Yes.
Your Honor, unless there's an objection, I would offer it at this moment.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, court will accept into evidence states 53.
Showing you states 53 again, now for the jury's benefit. Is that the defendant to the right there?
Yes.
And that's Jack Snyder to the left?
Yes.
And is that the motorcycle helmet that the defendant has on that you saw the defendant use during the fight with Ryan Hines?
I believe so, yes.
Now, you indicated that after the fight, it lasted about 30 seconds?
Maybe 40.
Okay. When the fight eventually ended, what, if anything, did you and or Ryan do next?
The mom comes out, Lifer's mom comes out running or yelling. Like, obviously, there's a fight in her driveway. Kind of just get up, gather his things, tries to find some of his beers they had spilt. I think he grabbed a couple of them. We headed down the driveway. We met a group of girls who had just witnessed that as well. And we had offered or asked them to bring us back to our friend's house, and they said yes. They brought us back to our friend Natalia's house. And then
When you went back to Natalia's house, let me ask you this. Between the time you were at 5 Lazy Brook to the time you went back to Natalia's house, were you drinking any alcohol?
no,
When you got back to Natalia's house, how long would you say you were at Natalia's house for when the girls dropped you off?
maybe around like 10, 15 minutes.
And when you were at Natalia's house, were you drinking alcohol at that point?
No,
Did you observe Ryan Hines drinking alcohol at that point?
no.
Now, at some point in time between leaving Lazy Brook Road and getting to Natalia's house, was there any communication between you or anybody else over any type of messaging?
Not at that point, no.
Okay. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what, if anything, occurred between the time you left Natalia's house, well, withdrawn. At some point in time, you were there for how long?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes, and at some point you left?
Yes.
Why did you leave Natalia's house?
Close friend of mine, Charlie Connery, had given me a call, had heard about what happens with Hines, and he said he was coming to grab us.
Without telling us what he said.
Sustained.
Okay, you can't tell us what he said. Did Charlie Connery call you?
Yes.
Did you have a conversation with Charlie Connery?
Yes.
And did you tell him what you observed at 5 Lazy Brook Road?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, did somebody pick you up at Natalia's house?
Yes.
And who picked you up?
Charlie.
And when he picked you up, where did you go?
To Tyler Rich's house.
Okay. Now, between the time you left Natalia's house, the time you got to Tyler Rich's house, were there any communications between, we'll call it, you and your Shelton friends and the St. Joe's kids?
Yeah, some had begun.
Okay. Can you please describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that was without telling us what people said?
We were in a basketball group chat.
What does that mean, basketball group chat?
It means that prior to this incident, it was an existing group chat. There was 2 other St. Joe's kids in it that we hung out with, and we would go play basketball, pick up games, kid stuff. And once this had happened, a few people were added into the group chat, and then it became very argumentative, going back and forth because of the fight. And it was just boys talking crap to each other, beefing.
And were you in that group chat?
Yes.
And did you engage anybody in that group chat?
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of things were you saying in that group chat?
We were talking crap back and forth. At one point, it was said within the group chat on their behalf of.
We can't tell us what they said, unless you know something that the defendant said. We just need to know the tone of it.
It was hostile, argumentative. We were both going back and forth. We were hot. Our boy had been jumped by 3 kids, so we were acting out of emotions, being like boys, just like talking shit back and forth.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 5. It's a full exhibit. Do you recognize State's 5?
Yes.
And what is State's 5?
The Rich's house.
That's Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
How do you know Tyler Rich?
From the same town. We've always just kind of been around each other since we were younger.
You grew up with him?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what time of night would you say you got to Tyler Rich's house?
Probably around 11.
11-ish? Okay. Was it dark out? What was the lighting like?
Well, the sun was down, yeah, so it was nighttime, but the moon was out. It wasn't terribly dark. We were able to see outside.
Okay. Was it pitch black?
No.
And when you got to Tyler Rich's house, was this group chat, this basketball group chat between the Shelton kids and St. Joe's kids, did that continue when you were at Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
Was everybody that was withdrawn? How many people would you say were at Tyler Rich's house when you and Ryan got to Tyler Rich's house?
Probably around 30, 40.
30, 40 kids? May approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 54 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 54?
I do.
And what is State's 54?
A picture of Faison Teal.
And how do you know Faison Teal?
I played football with him in high school.
And does this picture accurately reflect what Faison Teal looked like on or about 5/14 of 2022?
Yes.
Showing you State's Exhibit 55 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's 55?
Yes.
And how do you recognize State's 55?
It's Tommy Connery. It's Charlie's older brother. And I've known their family for some time.
And how do you know? You've known him for some time?
Yeah.
And are you friends with Tommy or Charlie more? How does that?
I was friends with Charlie because he's a year older than me, so that made me be friends with Tommy as well.
And does this State's 55 accurately reflect what Tommy looked like on or around May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Showing you State's Exhibit 56. You recognize 56?
Yes.
And what is State's 56?
Photo of Ryan Hines.
And how do you know Ryan Hines?
Once he moved to Shelton, we were kind of just boys from sports.
What kind of sports?
Football.
And does this picture accurately reflect what Ryan Hines looked like on May 15th of 2022?
Yes.
And finally, I'm going to show you State's 57. Do you recognize State's 57?
I do.
And how do you recognize State's 57?
It's a picture of my friend Jimmy McGrath.
And how do you know Jimmy McGrath?
When I first switched over to public schools in 3rd grade, I met him on the bus.
And does this picture accurately reflect Jimmy McGrath on May 14th of 2022?
Yeah.
What he appeared like on May 14th of 2022?
Yeah.
Your Honor, without objection, I would offer these as full exhibits. Objection.
All right. Without objection, court will go ahead and take into evidence States 54, 55, 56, and 57, I believe.
I may have a moment. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
After I call it.
Madam Clerk, those went through 57, correct? Yes. Thank you.
Showing you State's 54, now publishing that to the jury. State's 54 is again,
Faison Teal.
and was Faison present at 43 Laurel Glen, Tyler Rich's house on the night of May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Showing you 55. What's 55 a picture of again?
A picture of Tommy Connery.
And was Tommy Connery present at Tyler Rich's house on May 14th of 2022?
Yes, he was.
Showing you 56. What is 56 again? Picture of who?
Ryan Hines.
It was Ryan Hines. Is that the same Ryan Hines you mentioned that was with you at Lazy Brook earlier in the night and went with you to Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
Finally, 57. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who 57 is?
Jimmy McGrath.
It was Jimmy McGrath at 43 Laurel Glen, Tyler Rich's house, when you went there that night.
Yes.
I'm going to show you States 12. Do you recognize States 12?
Yes.
And how do you recognize States 12?
It's Jimmy McGrath.
Now, are you familiar with an Enrico Fiola or Ricky Fiola?
Yes.
How are you familiar with him?
Played sports with him. I've known him since probably 6th grade.
And was he present at 43 Laurel Glen on the night of May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Sal Perry?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with Sal Perry?
Our families are friends.
And was he present at 43 Laurel Glen on the night of May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Mike Samperi?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with Mike Samperi?
I grew up with him as well.
And was he present at Tyler Rich's house on May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Are you familiar with an Alex Bernstein?
Yes.
How are you familiar with Alex Bernstein?
He's Tanner's friend. That's how I met him.
And was he present at Tyler Rich's house on the night of May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
How about Charlie Connery? Was Charlie Connery present at Tyler Rich's house on the night of May 14th
Yes.
of 2022? And how about Jacob Villalobos? Are you familiar with Jacob Villalobos?
Yeah.
And how are you familiar with Jacob?
He was my captain.
Captain for what?
Football.
And was he present at 43 Laurel Glen
Yes.
on May 14th of 2022? How about Matt Lockovich? Are you familiar with a Matt Lockovich?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
He was also my football captain.
And was he present at Tyler Rich's house on the night of May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Now, when you got to Tyler Rich's house at around 11 p.m., what kind of, you said there were about 30 kids there?
Yeah.
What kind of things were going on when you got to Tyler Rich's house on May 14th of 2022?
Typical high school things, down in the basement, listening to music. A couple people had drinks.
Did you drink?
Not while I was at the Riches, no.
I'm sorry?
Not while I was at the Riches, no.
You didn't drink at all at Tyler Rich's house?
I could have had a beer.
Okay. Have you drank before?
Yeah, prior to Lazy Brook.
Okay. How about prior to May 14th of 2022? Have you ever had a beer before?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been intoxicated before?
Yeah.
On May 14th of 2022, were you intoxicated?
No.
Now, how long would you say you were at Tyler Rich's house while the group chat was going on?
Probably about like 25 minutes.
Okay. And after about 25 minutes, well, withdrawn. During that 25 minutes, did you say anything in that group chat with regards to 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes. As we were all together going over this group chat, we're talking, they're talking. It was kind of just like I was collective. A couple people would tell them to pull up, so I did.
So you told them to pull up, and when you told them to pull up, how did they know where to get to?
I said the road name.
I'm sorry?
I said the road name.
Okay. And at some point in time, after that 25 minutes, did something happen that you became aware of outside of 43 Laurel Glen?
I'm not sure who, but someone had pointed out that there was a car outside. We kind of all collectively headed out through the back and went outside and saw the car.
Okay. I may have a moment, Your Honor. Can I see?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 49. You recognize 49?
Yes.
Okay. And this is a overhead shot of what?
The Rich's household.
Okay, and that would be this house here to the left of 49, kind of covered by some trees with the 3 pickup trucks in the driveway.
Yeah.
That's Tyler Rich's house.
Yeah.
Trying to make the record reflect that I'm pointing to the house with the black, blue, and white truck parked in the driveway.
All right, so noted, thank you.
Now, at some point in time, a car arrives.
Yeah.
What kind of car was it?
I believe a Honda Pilot.
Showing you States 30. Is that the Honda Pilot you saw pull up or in the area of 43 Laurel Glen on May 14th of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And when this Honda Pilot pulled up, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where you saw the car when you exited? Well, withdraw. When you were aware, became aware that there was a car outside of Tyler Rich's house, what, if anything, did you do?
We all came outside. At first, it was like, where's the car? And then we had noticed closer to at like the bottom of the road, like where the road meets that road, a car was added to like the chain of cars that were there, and we had recognized that we didn't know what car that was. So we all kind of made our way over to it, realized that they were in the car.
Now I'm going to take you back now, okay? Back up. This is State's Exhibit 6, okay? Tyler Rich's house, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you were at Tyler Rich's house, were you inside the house or outside the house?
Both.
Both, okay. When you became aware that there was a car that arrived in the area of Tyler Rich's house, were you inside the house or outside the house?
Inside.
Okay, and where were you inside the house?
We were in the basement.
Okay. And at some point in time, when you heard there was a car that arrived at Tyler Rich's house, did you exit the basement?
Yes.
How did you exit the basement?
Through like the umbilical doors in the back.
Bilko doors?
Yeah.
So those are like the basement doors
Yeah.
that open like this? And what side of the house are the Bilko doors in? I'm showing you State 6. Can you show us where?
It's kind of blurry,
Can you
but
step down and point, Your Honor?
Certainly, that's fine. If he feels comfortable doing that. Certainly, of course.
You would go up there, right here. You can do it, point it right here for the jury.
so right around here is the walkway entrance that brings you from around back.
Okay. So, Your Honor, if the record can reflect that the witness pointed to this area just in front of the blue truck in State 6 in the back area where there appears to be an air conditioning unit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. In this opening area here.
All right, that's noted, thank you.
And when you came out of the Bilko doors, are you able to describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury in State's Exhibit 49 did you observe the car when you walked right out the Bilko doors? Not at first?
No, you came around the house.
So you came around the house. Did you come around the house? And for the jury and the record's benefit, did you come out this way where this patch of grass is just to the left of the blue truck?
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you walk down the driveway?
I believe so.
Okay. And when you walked to the driveway, did you walk to the end of the driveway?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got to the end of the driveway, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you observed at that moment.
We had noticed that the car was about where those trees are, equivalent parked right about there.
So if for the record's benefit, are you referring to these trees right here?
Yes.
So was the car parked in the middle of the road, side of the road?
It was pulled up onto the side.
On the side of the road. So right about here?
Yeah.
So, Your Honor, if the record can reflect, there's trees at the bottom of Stage 49, the bottom right-hand group of trees just after the intersection of Laurel, Glen, and Adams.
All right, that's noted, thank you.
So the car was parked there.
Yeah.
when the car was parked there, did you approach the car?
Yeah, we all did.
Okay. And when you say you all did, how many people do you think approached the car, if you know?
At least 20.
Okay. And do you recall who was present when you approached the car?
In the car?
In
or-
your group? No, in
our
your group.
Not specifically.
Okay. Was Tyler Rich present? If you recall.
I don't recall exactly who was outside.
So there was about 20 kids?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you approached the car, was the car facing
It was facing
towards Adams or away from Adams?
away, down
Away.
the road.
So if we're looking at approach your arms.
Okay.
This is stage one. So when the car is parked, it's parked this way, facing towards Farmhouse Road?
Yes.
Okay. And you approached the car?
Yes.
And did you recognize anybody in the car?
Yes.
Who did you recognize in the car?
De Silva, Snyder, and Lito from prior at the Lifers.
So you noticed the defendant was in the car? Jack Snyder and Tyler De Silva? Did you notice if there was anybody else in the car?
I think so, but I'm not sure who.
At that moment, you weren't sure who else was in the car? Now, can you please describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened when your Shelton friends went out to the car?
They start talking, start going back and forth. We're saying stuff to them, they're saying stuff to us.
Was it a civil discussion? Was it argumentative?
Argumentative.
Okay. Did you say anything?
No, I was in the front. I wasn't at any windows.
You were in the front?
Yeah.
What do you mean you were in the front?
Like where I was standing, I was kind of looking through the windshield.
So if if the car is parked here on the right side in stage 49, you were somewhere up here in front of the car?
Yeah.
Now, if this is the car here, are you directly in front of the car? Are you inside of the car?
I'm more towards the passenger side. Yeah.
So you're closer to the curb than you are to the center of the road?
Yeah.
Okay. But still in front of the car?
Yeah.
And how long would you say the interaction went on between your friends and the St. Joe's group?
A few minutes.
Okay. Did you recall who was driving the Pilot that night?
Jack Snyder.
Okay. And do you recall, if you can, who was in the front passenger seat?
I don't recall. I just saw the powder blue in the front and back.
Okay. And you said about 5 minutes that interaction went on?
Yeah, a few.
And at some point in time, did something happen between your group of friends and the Snyder vehicle group of friends?
Yeah, they're talking back and forth, and then collectively people start like holding onto the roof racks and shaking it back and forth.
So your group started shaking the car? Okay. And what else? Excuse me. What else happened during that?
The car was on, so once that started happening, they put it in drive and drove forward, and I had to like hop out of the way a little bit, and they sped down the road.
So you had to hop out of the way when the car drove down the road?
Yeah.
How was it being operated, if you recall?
Speeding, I
Okay.
guess.
And when you say it went down the road, it took off towards Farmhouse?
Farmhouse, yes.
Okay. And when it took off down the road towards Farmhouse, what, if anything, did you observe at that point?
What happens after they drive away is they continue to drive back and forth from the Rich's house, like up and down the road.
So they're driving in Stage 49 up and back down Laurel Glen?
Yeah, I'm not exactly positive if they hit a U-turn or if
You see, it's like a square, so I don't really remember if they drove the square.
or if they just busted a U-turn and came back and forth.
But they came
Yeah,
back
they,
and forth.
They crossed the house multiple times. yes.
Okay. And when they crossed the house multiple times, what, if anything, did you observe people from the car doing?
They were throwing things at us. We were throwing things at them.
What kind of things were they throwing at you?
I believe there was a WD-40 can, like a water jug of some sort.
Okay. And when those things were thrown at you guys, what, if anything, did you observe your group of friends do?
throw it back.
You threw it back at them. Okay. Did you witness anybody throw anything and hit the car?
Not, I don't recall if anyone hit the car.
Are you aware if the car was hit with anything?
I'm not sure, no.
Okay. And at some point in time, did they stop driving back and forth in front of Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
Okay. And when they stopped doing that, what, if anything, did you observe as to where the car went?
They had moved towards where Farmhouse Lane is and stopped the car up like on the corner of it.
So, for the jury's and the record's benefit, this is States 1. If we're looking at States 1, they're somewhere in the area of the intersection of Farmhouse and Laurel Glen?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say they were in front? Did you see them in front of this house, or was it more towards the intersection?
I was far away, so.
So you couldn't tell exactly, but they were in this area?
Yeah, no.
And Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness was saying they were in the area of the intersection of Farmhouse Road and 36th Road.
It's noted, thank you.
And when you were down the road, when you saw them, the car stop down the road, did you observe anything about the occupants of the car?
I think 2 of them had gotten out.
And could you see who got out of the car?
No, I could not see specifically.
Okay. And when you noticed those individuals get out of the car, what if anything did you observe next?
2 of my friends, maybe more, but Ricky and Tyler began walking down to go speak with them.
And when you say Ricky, you mean Ricky Fiola?
Yes.
And when you say Tyler, you mean Tyler Rich?
Yes.
Okay. And they went down the road? Did you see them go down all the way down the road?
I saw them when they got pretty close, and then I had headed back inside.
Did you observe Tyler Rich or Ricky Fiola do anything when they were going down the road?
No.
Did you hear anything as to not what people said, but did you hear anything, any argument or anything down the road from where you were?
No.
Okay. And you say that at some point in time you went back into the house?
Yeah.
And when you went back into the house, how did you enter Tyler's house?
Same way I left, through the basement door.
So you walked. Before you get back into the house, can you show me on States 49 where you were standing when the car finally went down the road?
Yeah, I kind of like around the mailbox, like poked out in the road a little bit, just saw the boys walking down there.
So my finger's pointed in the road here, just in front of the mailbox on 49. Is that about where you were standing?
Yeah, in that general area.
Okay. And when you went back, Your Honor, the record can reflect my finger's pointing to the front of the mailbox, just about maybe 5 feet into the road.
Court will note it, thank you.
And when you went back into Tyler Rich's house, did you walk up the driveway and go inside the Bilko doors, or did you go in the house a different way?
I took the same route.
Okay. And when you were back in the house, when you were back in Tyler Rich's house, how long would you say you were in Tyler Rich's house for at that time?
A few minutes.
A few minutes. And when you were back in Tyler Rich's house, were you consuming any alcohol?
No.
And how many people would you say were inside the house when you went back inside the house at that moment?
Almost all of us.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you come back outside the house?
Yes.
And why did you go back outside the house?
Because they had came back.
When you say they had come back, who came back?
Well, when we got outside, Lito and De Silva were out of their car.
Okay. Now, show you States 52. Okay. Now, when you came out of the house, what route did you take?
The same route I had been taken. We veered a little left because they were approaching towards the yard.
I'll show you States 50. A little closer view. When you came out of Tyler Rich's house, you came out this side of the house where the Bilko doors were?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm pointing to the area just in front of, there's an opening between some trees in the house just in front of the blue truck here, right?
Yep.
Okay, and when you came out of the house, what route did you take?
Kind
Can you
of
describe it.
Kind of like exactly where that blue truck is, and then went cut towards the grass.
So did you come down to the left side of the blue truck and go out to the right this way over to the cement block area? Or did you go out of the side of the house and take a right in front of the blue truck, past the black truck, and come down the, we'll call it the driver's side of the black truck?
I mean, the blue truck wasn't there at the
Right,
time,
this
so we
is-
kind of, just walked down like exactly where it is and then like bended into the grass.
So, if I may have a moment, Your Honor. I'm going to show you States 5. When you came out of the Velcro doors, right where this air conditioning unit is in front of the opening where this blue truck is, did you come down the left side of this blue truck and through the middle of between the blue truck and the white Jeep, or did you come down the passenger side of this blue truck towards this area?
The passenger side.
So you came out the Bilco door, took a quick left, and then down the grass area where the cobblestone block is?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you end up when you first went outside?
Like right in between that slab and red bush in that area.
Okay, so I'm showing you States. For the record, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
This is States 52.
Thank you.
This is obviously a more recent picture. Was this green tree here?
No.
Okay. And when you came down, can you point to the area in States 52 where you came, where you stood?
In this general vicinity right here.
Okay, so in the record reflect just above the area of this square cement, looks like possibly a septic cap thing here, and the red bush.
All right, so noted. Thank you.
And when you stood there, what was the lighting like at that point?
I think there might have been a light on from the driveway, like slightly illuminating. It was dim lit. Moon was out. Wasn't terribly dark. You were able to see.
Did anybody have flashlights on?
Yeah.
Okay. What were they using to illuminate what was going on?
Phone flashlights.
Okay. And when you got outside, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you observed initially when you got to that area.
So when we get outside, the cars pulls up facing
Towards Adams.
kind of like
Do you know where it's parked in that picture, 52?
It's like the car would be right here. This would be the car.
So can the record reflect that the car is parked in 52 to the right lower area would appear to be the middle of the road?
Carl noted. Thank you. Cordell noted. Thank you.
So when the car was parked there, tell me what you observed.
Lito and De Silva hop out of the car, start approaching the property. Obviously, there's arguments going back and forth.
How were they approaching the property? Can you recall how they were approaching the property?
They were just or like if I was like how I saw them.
Yeah.
From my view, the one on the right was De Silva. Lito was on the left, so on Tyler's right.
So if I'm standing in that area where you pointed out in 52 between the red bush and what looks like to be the septic cap, we'll call it that, you see Tyler De Silva to your right and Lito to your left, the defendant?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anybody else with them?
The driver, but they were just alone out of the vehicle.
And when you observed Tyler and the defendant get out of the car, how many people from your group were outside?
Majority.
And do you recall if there was, not what people said, but do you recall if there was a verbal interaction between anybody from your group and the defendant and or Tyler De Silva?
Yeah, there was stuff being said back and forth.
What kind of things, not what they said, but what was the manner in which the things were being said?
Argumentative.
Okay. And was your group being argumentative?
Both parties.
So the defendant and Tyler DeSilva were being argumentative back?
Yeah.
Did it look like they were trying to be peaceful?
No, but neither did we.
And so can you tell on States 52 where approximately you observed Tyler DeSilva was as opposed to where the defendant was?
This would be probably about De Silva. Lito would be about right here.
And when there was an interaction between your group and the defendant and Mr. DeSilva, where did that interaction, that verbal interaction, take place?
As they were walking up, a little bit on the grass as well.
A little bit on the grass just past the curb area?
Yeah.
Okay. And who was talking to, not what was said, who was talking to Tyler DeSilva or arguing with Tyler DeSilva at that moment? Do you recall?
A couple of people. Rich was arguing with him. He was also said some words towards both of them. Everyone was kind of talking.
So Tyler Rich was talking to Tyler DeSilva?
Yeah, at one point, yeah.
Do you recall anybody else from your friend group talking to Tyler DeSilva?
Not specifically.
Do you recall whether or not anybody was withdrawn? How far apart were Tyler DeSilva and the defendant?
They weren't terribly far apart, maybe a couple feet, 5 to 8.
Okay. And do you recall who out of your group of friends was was anybody having a discussion or near the defendant at this moment?
Hines was near the area.
Ryan Hines was near the defendant?
My buddy Ty Wood was confronting him.
How do you know Ty Wood?
Known him my whole life. My sister and his brother were friends. We played sports together.
And obviously he was at the party that night as
Yeah.
well. Who else, if anybody, do you recall being near the defendant at that moment?
I'm not sure of anyone else.
But you're from what you recall Ty Wood and Ryan Hines.
Yes.
Okay. And how was the defendant's demeanor with regards to your friends Ryan Hines and Ty Wood?
They were both ready, just like ready to fight.
Okay.
Prepared.
And how long would you say there was this verbal altercation going on back and forth on May 14th of 2022?
Not very long. Maybe
When you say not very long,
a minute or two.
okay. And after a minute or two, did something happen?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you observed happen?
Ty and Lito had been arguing. It looked like Lito was about to swing on Ty, so Rich stepped in front and struck Lito.
So Tyler Rich punched the defendant in the face?
Yes.
Okay. And when Tyler Rich punched the defendant in the face, what happened next?
Well, the fight begins, and his whole interactions, or Lito's whole interactions, kind of get out of my view from the crowd of people that are all just in front of me, so I can't really see him. But then I see De Silva, and he starts getting into it, and then him and Rich actually end up in like a wrestling match, basically in the lawn.
And who do you recall being in the area of Tyler Rich and Tyler DeSilva's fight?
Like Locke, Villalobos, Alex Bernstein was in the area.
When you say Locke, you mean Matt Locke?
Lockovich, yeah.
And Tyler Rich
Yeah.
and Jacob Villalobos. Who else? Do you recall anybody else?
Not specifically, no.
And when you were observing the fight between Tyler DeSilva and Tyler Rich, did you have an idea? Were you aware of what was going on with the defendant?
No.
Okay.
I knew he was in a fight. I could see it, but I couldn't see specifics.
Do you recall how many people he was in a fight with?
No.
Okay. And when the fight's going on, withdrawn, did you have any weapons on you that night?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich with any weapons on him that night?
No.
Did you see Ty Wood with any weapons on him that night?
No.
Did you see Ryan Hines with any weapons on him that night?
No.
Did you see Jacob Villalobos with any weapons on him that night?
No.
Did you see Matt Lockovich with any weapons on him that night?
No.
Did you see Sal Perry with any weapons on him that night? How about Mike Sampieri? Did he have any weapons on him that night?
Not to my knowledge.
How about Charlie Connery? Did he have any weapons on him that night? How about Tommy Connery? Did he have any weapons on him that night?
No.
How about Faison Teal? Did you see any weapons on him?
No.
Did you see Jimmy during the fight?
Not during the fight.
Not
No.
during the fight. Do you know if he had any weapons on him?
He did not.
So when the fight's going on, you lose sight of what the defendant's doing, and you kind of focus on Tyler Rich and Tyler DeSilva. How long would you say you were? Well, did you move at any point in time from where you were during that fight?
I might have creeped about where that tree is, maybe right on the cement.
Just watching.
So you were in that general
I
area.
stayed in that area mainly.
Do you recall anybody being near you at the time?
Tanner?
Tanner Chernowski was near you?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long would you say, now withdrawn, tell us what you observed about the fight that you did observe.
It was quick. They were on the ground. I remember like they were wrestling, grabbing at each other. I saw like DeSilva's whole back out because his shirt was like pulled up a little bit. They were just kind of wrestling, and then it wasn't very long, not a very long interaction. A couple of the dudes pick him up onto his feet, push him out into the street, and tell him to get lost, basically.
And when that occurs, at any point in time, did you observe the defendant do anything?
Yeah, so while the interaction with DeSilva's ending, the defendant runs to the car. You see the car door open because the lights turn on from inside the car, and then he runs back into the fight.
And so, just so we're clear, States 52, during this point in time, you're somewhere in this area?
Yeah.
And that's between the square cement block septic cap here and this tree that was not there at the time?
Yeah.
And the car is somewhere in this area here, just in front of the mailbox, maybe like...
Maybe a little farther back as well.
Okay, maybe, so probably around just to the lower right-hand portion of
Yeah.
52. And you observe the defendant run to the car?
Yes.
And when you observe him run to the car, what does he do?
He runs back to the fight.
And when he runs back into the fight, where did you observe where Tyler DeSilva was at this point?
He's kind of like in the road.
Road now at this point because he was pushed out into the road.
Was anybody fighting with Tyler DeSilva at that moment?
No.
Okay. And when the defendant runs back into the fight, what, if anything, withdrawn, how would you describe the scene of the fight? Was it chaotic?
Yeah,
Okay. A lot of kids?
a lot of kids.
And when the defendant runs back into the fight, what, if anything, did you hear at that moment?
My buddy Charlie yells that he has a knife.
And when you heard Charlie yell that he has a knife, what, if anything, did you observe next?
I didn't observe. Like from that point, it was a crowd of people, and then it broke out in chaos. People started yelling, screaming, and then I had seen Jimmy, and he had these white shorts on. They were stained completely red, and I looked away, and a bunch of people flooded to him to help him.
States 57. Is that the outfit you recall Jimmy wearing the night of May 14th of 2022 with the white shorts?
Yes.
And when you saw Jimmy, withdrawn, when the defendant came back into the fight, did you observe a knife on him at that point?
I couldn't. I still had no eyes. I saw once he ran back from the car. I lost sight of him because of the crowd.
Okay, when you say there were a crowd, were there people in front of you where you were standing between the tree and the in that cement square in States 52?
Not many.
Majority was more into the grass, which is where he was, and I would like
That's why I had the view I had of the car and the fight. And once he ran back towards the curb, he was not in my vision anymore.
Do you recall where Jimmy was at this moment? Did you see Jimmy?
I had known he was on the
Far side of the interaction.
Okay. And when you heard Charlie yell, "He's got a knife, he's got a knife," you didn't observe the defendant with anything. What did you observe next after you heard that?
It erupted and everyone started screaming. Some people were crying, yelling, freaking out. Once I had noticed Jimmy, I was shocked. I was 16 years old. I didn't know what to do. And then I had noticed Charlie was freaking out because his brother Tommy had been stabbed, and Charlie was like my best friend at the time. So I had taken my hoodie off, gave it to him, was like put it on his leg.
Let's stop there. So what did you observe first about Jimmy? You saw Jimmy first?
I noticed the red on his shorts. That was what I noticed.
Did you hear him say anything?
I did not.
Did he do anything? Did you see him do anything?
He fell to the ground.
Okay. So you saw red on the shorts and he fell to the ground? When you saw that happen, what did you do next?
I was moving towards him, and then like a couple people instantly grabbed onto him and were catering to him, and then I noticed Tommy, interacted with Charlie, gave him my hoodie.
Do you recall where Tommy was at that moment? If you don't, it's
He
okay.
was like in the middle of the yard.
Okay. And did you go up to Tommy?
I did.
And what did you observe about Tommy?
That he had been stabbed in the leg.
Okay. Do you recall if he had been stabbed more than once?
Yeah, I believe 3 or 4 times.
And when you saw that he was stabbed, what, if anything, did you do?
I had taken my hoodie off to give it. I gave it to Charlie first to give to, and told him to give it to Tommy to wrap his leg.
And when that happened, what did you do next?
I ran back inside to look for anything, towels, water. While I was like searching for things, I believe I was with Tanner. We had noticed Hines was sitting, and I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he said he was catching his breath, and he was hunched over with his hand on his left side, holding it, and then he moved his hand, and we had noticed that he was bleeding, and we took him out. We were, dude, like, come on, you got to get in the ambulance, you got to go, and then it kind of just all. Once everyone started getting treated, it was all just like a blur.
Where was Ryan stabbed?
He was stabbed once, like right beneath his armpit, and like the lower, I don't even know what this area is, your lower side, and then right above his butt.
Okay. And do you recall where Tommy was stabbed?
In his thigh.
Do you recall if anybody else had been stabbed that night?
Faison had been cut in the arm, and obviously Jimmy.
Now, when you went inside to help Ryan, at some point in time, did you come back outside with towels and
I didn't find anything, but I just kept using my clothing.
So, did you or anybody call 911?
Yeah, multiple people did.
How long would you say, withdrawn, after, when you saw Jimmy fall, did you see the defendant and Tyler DeSilva do anything?
The last I saw of them was them run to their car and drive off, and then they weren't in my mind anymore.
And where did they drive? Did they drive towards Adams or towards Farmhouse?
Towards Adams.
Okay. And when 911 was called, how long would you say it was between the time the fight, the end of the fight took place and the time the first responders arrived? Do you recall?
I don't recall specifically. I remember it taking a decent amount of time because a lot of people were complaining that the ambulance wasn't there fast enough.
And
while we were there,
when you were waiting for the first responders to arrive to the scene, were you doing anything at that moment? Were you rendering aid to anybody?
not at that point. Once they came, they made us all back up. They took over, obviously, took care of everything. And at that point, I finally answered my mom because throughout the whole interaction, she was blowing up my phone from hearing the sirens all driving by. And I finally, answered her, talked to her.
Okay. And at some point in time, did your parents arrive at 43 Laurel Glen?
I don't recall if they picked me up or not.
Did you, at some point in time, first responders arrived, police, paramedics? Do you recall whether or not you talked to any police officers that night?
I believe I did.
And after that night, do you recall whether or not you met with police officers again in connection to this case?
I did.
They may have a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, that's all the questions I have for this witness.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Marcenzi. So you were telling us a little bit about your relationship to some of these folks, as well as what you witnessed on the 14th into the morning of the 15th, right? And you were telling us that the evening began, you were getting ready over to go over to Ms. Ridzik's house, correct? That was about 6 o'clock?
Maybe a little later.
Okay. And that involved some drinking as far as getting ready to go over there?
While we were there, yeah.
While you were at Ridzik's house?
Yeah, the initial time.
Okay. What about beforehand when you were getting ready to go over there? Did that involve
No.
any drinking?
No.
Okay. Any other substance use?
No.
You told us that once you got to Ridzik's house, you had a drink, maybe 2 beers, maybe 3, maybe 4.
No, because I didn't have that many. Wasn't able to get anything for that night really, so I didn't have much. So I was just kind of.
Well, you were there with Ryan Hines, correct?
Yes.
And he had a 12-pack of beer,
He did.
correct? You didn't have any of those beers?
No, I don't believe he gave me any.
Okay. Is it possible?
I don't
Judge,
think
that's
so.
possible?
Sustained.
Because when we showed up to the lifers, he had.
Hold on just a minute.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to sustain the objection to the question, asking if it's possible, it's speculative. I'm going to strike the response that was provided to that question before the court had an opportunity to stop the witness from answering the question. So please retract or take any information responding to that question out of your notes if you have anything in there and you're not to consider it as part of the evidence. Attorney Smith, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So your recollection is that it was 2 beers that you had at the Ridzik's house? Mm-hmm. Nothing else to drink there?
No.
Ryan didn't share any of his beers with you?
No.
And at some point, you went over to the Lifers' house, correct?
Yes.
And that was 5 Lazy Brook Road?
Yes.
And you knew that they were having a party there, correct?
Yes.
Where you expected that there would be more drinking going on, correct?
Potentially.
Well, when you arrived there, you knew that your friend, Mr. Lifer, was drunk to the point of being ill, correct?
I had found that out from them when I had arrived.
Because you didn't see him because he was in the back throwing up, correct?
I didn't see him because I wasn't allowed into the property by the defendant and his friends.
And you were driven to 5 Lazy Brook Road by a person named Tanner Chernowski, correct?
Yes.
And you described Tanner Chernowski as your cousin, correct?
Yeah. Not by blood, but essentially we've been family friends since we were young.
So he's not your blood cousin
No.
or relative, but you consider him so close as to be, you call
Yes.
him a cousin.
Yes.
Now, when you got there, you mentioned that there were some kids from St. Joe's at that party, correct?
Yeah, it was a St. Joe's party.
was
Often
a St.
attended
Joe's
St.
party.
Joe's, yes.
So most of the kids there were from St. Joe's, correct?
Yes.
You were not from St. Joe's,
No, I was not.
nor was Ryan Hines, correct?
No.
Nor was Tanner Chernowski.
No.
And there were 4 kids there, but you from St. Joe's that you noticed, but only 3 of them who you could identify, correct?
Yeah.
And that was Jack Snyder, correct? Tyler De Silva, correct? And Raul Valle, correct? And you knew them to be St. Joe's kids, right?
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Hines had brought a 12-pack of beer with him,
Yes.
and that you began to go into the garage, correct?
Yes.
Could you see what was going on in the garage?
Yeah, the garage doors were open.
And there was a party going on in the garage, right?
They were inside, so they were really the only ones in the garage. Maybe a couple other stragglers outside, but the party was in the house.
Nothing going on that you could see inside, like beer pong or any games?
No,
being
door
played?
was shut, and the way it's set up, you can't see into the house.
And you didn't know at that time who Jack Snyder, Tyler De Silva, or Raul Valle were, is that correct?
Not fully. I had known Snyder and De Silva just like through football, not like personally knew them, but I've heard the name before.
Okay. So at that point, when you saw them, you couldn't say what their names were, is that
No.
fair to say?
Correct.
And at some point, you said that Jack Snyder went to grab Ryan Hines' beer, correct?
He did grab Ryan Hines' beer.
He grabs Ryan Hines' beer, and then you said the defendant didn't say anything, correct?
Not to my recollection. I don't recall what everyone was saying.
And that he was peripheral to Mr. Hines and Mr. Snyder, correct?
Yes.
And at some point, Mr. Hines and Mr. Snyder squared off, right?
Yeah.
As though they were going to have a fist fight or some sort of physical
Yeah, they
altercation.
agreed to fight over the beer.
Okay. When you say they agreed to fight over the beer, were there any adults present at this point, or was this just students?
Witnessing this, no. I think maybe a parent or two. Both of them were home, but I know his mom was home.
And you claim that the first punch was thrown by the defendant,
Yes.
and that he punched Ryan Hines in the face from behind,
Yes.
correct? And you said that Hines then took Snyder to the ground.
Yes.
Now, you've described and you saw a photograph of Mr. Valle wearing a helmet, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And he was also wearing some sort of a neck pillow. Did you see
Neck
that?
pillow. Outside, I'm not too exactly sure if he had it on still or not. It was a black pillow or a dark colored pillow. It was nighttime. I don't recall exactly if he was wearing the neck pillow.
And that was Austin Lifer, your friend. That was his father's motorcycle helmet,
I
correct?
believe so. Yeah.
And at some point after they began fighting, you said that Mr. Hines was getting the better of Mr. Snyder, correct?
I'd say he was. Yeah, he was brought him to the ground. He was on top of him.
And at that point, you said that the defendant tackled Ryan Hines, correct?
No, he removed his helmet and struck him.
Okay. Well, that's what you told us now. You gave a statement to the police officers on May 15th of 2022, correct?
Yeah.
You went there with your parents at about 2 o'clock down to the PD to give a statement?
Sounds about right.
And you told them at that time that the defendant tackled Ryan and punched him, correct?
They might have taken that incorrectly because Hines was the only person that tackled anyone. He thought, or he took him to the ground. I watched him tackle him, and no
So
one
you-
else went to the ground either.
So you didn't tell them that that the defendant tackled Ryan and punched him?
If they marked me as saying that, then on paper I did, but I don't. I recall Hines tackling it.
And you told us here, and you told them then, that the defendant took off his helmet and swung it at Mr. Hines, correct?
Yeah, he struck him with it.
He took that helmet physically off of his head and swung it and struck Mr. Hines.
Yes, he hit Hines with it.
And then Mr. De Silva jumped in afterwards, correct?
Yeah, he didn't contribute much to it, but yeah,
He began punching and kicking Ryan Hines on the ground, correct?
yeah.
That's your recollection. That's what you're certain of today.
Yeah, he wasn't very much so involved. He was the last one to enter in, and by then it got broken up pretty fast.
And you were prevented from helping because this fourth unknown person was holding you back, right?
I wasn't sort of say be held back because we were initially watching because they agreed to fight one-on-one, and that was agreed upon both. They were fine with it. The second they get active, like things happen, and then the girl hops in. I'm off to the side. I had no clue who I was standing with, and we were talking about it. And he was like, "Don't get involved." He was telling me not to because he was like, "You're in that. Like, there's 3 of them."
There were adults at this house, you think?
What do you like? Parents?
Yes.
His mom was home. Yeah.
You were aware of that?
I was until she came outside when the fight got broken up.
But so you claim that these two agreed to fight Mr. Snyder and Mr. Hines, and
Yeah.
you decided you were just going to watch the thing.
Well, they said they were running one-on-one fight. Hines, it's not allowed to be said, but they said they agreed upon ones.
You didn't make any efforts to notify any parents inside the house that this was going on out in their driveway.
I didn't know they were in the driveway or in the house. Sorry.
You said the fight lasted a short time, maybe as much as 30 to 40 seconds.
As much as 40. Nothing like.
And afterwards, Mr. Leifer's mother came outside and asked you to leave, correct?
Yeah, which we were more than fine with doing.
And she gave the beers back to Mr. Hines, correct?
I didn't exactly see if she picked him up or if she handed him to him. She could have.
And at that point, you got a ride back to Ms. Ridsick's house, Natalia Ridsick's house, correct?
Yes.
Who gave you that ride?
I do not know her name. We had been walking down the driveway. We had met a group of girls, and they had witnessed what happened, and we were like, "You guys mind bringing us home?" And they had no problem with it.
But you don't recall who that was.
I do not recall their names.
And you told us that you weren't doing any drinking on the way back to Miss Ritzig's house, correct?
No, I didn't have anything. Once I had gotten to Austin's, I had no alcohol.
You didn't have any of Mr. Hines' beers that he had
No.
just gotten back?
No, he lost majority of them in that yard, so he was not in the mood to be giving them out.
And you immediately called your friends, Thomas and Charlie Connery, right?
No, I believe Charlie called me.
And you told them about what had occurred there at the 5 Lazybrook house, right?
Yeah.
And everybody on your side, and this is the Shelton High kids at this point that we're
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah.
Those are your friends, are mainly Shelton High kids.
Yeah.
And you let them know about the fight that had just happened at 5 Lazybrook Road.
Yep.
You were upset, right?
Yeah. Me and Hines were a little pissed off. We were like, "What the hell? That was bull."
A little pissed off?
Yeah. We weren't fuming, acting out of rage, doing anything stupid, but we were like, that was stupid. Like we were just pissed.
Okay. And you told us that there was a basketball group chat that some of the kids started, correct?
Yeah, I was in it prior. It was started because we played pickup basketball, hence the name of the group chat. And we had 2 SJ kids in there that we were friends with. We'd hoop with them. And then after it all had happened, I don't remember who specifically, but they were all added, or at least 4 people. I didn't have any of the numbers, so they were all just random numbers.
When you say they were all added, you mean Mr. Valle, Mr. De Silva, and Mr.
I found that
Snyder
out
were
after,
added,
but in the
correct?
given moment, I didn't know. Yes.
But that's who was added, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's who you started texting about 43 Laurel Glen Drive, correct?
Yes.
Giving them the address, correct?
Yeah.
In fact, taking a photo of the address and texting that, correct?
Yeah.
That wasn't just some of the kids, right? That was you.
Yeah. My phone number is the number that sent it. Yes.
You've talked about things as having happened collectively, but when we're talking about the address being sent,
Yeah,
that
I
was
sent
you
the address.
individually, not collectively.
I mean, if you put it into retrospect, yeah, my finger hit the button, I think, but I was a sophomore at a senior's house. I wasn't just gonna have some kids show up that this is my first time hanging out there. I wouldn't just invite them. So I was told by people, I don't exactly remember who, but we had been talking about what just happened, because they started off with come to Trumbull High. So we were like, we're not going to Trumbull High, and said what we said.
So you're saying somebody forced you to text
No,
the
nobody
address.
forced me to text anything. No.
And then you described ultimately getting over to 43 Laurel Glen Drive. And you told us maybe 30 to 40 kids were there?
Yeah.
Could it have been more?
I don't think so. By more, if it's not touching 50, maybe a number in the 40s possibly, but I don't think so.
And you didn't have anything to drink once you got there, except maybe I think you conceded you could have had 1 beer?
Yeah, I could have been given one. I don't remember drinking, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Was there beer at the party at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
Not for the taking, but people had their own supplies.
Was there liquor at the party at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
I didn't see. He could have had a bottle at his house prior. I'm not sure.
And when you arrived there, you described it as being dark, correct?
Where?
43 Laurel Glen Drive now.
You're referring about outside?
Yes.
It's dim lit. It wasn't terribly dark. We were able to see the people in front of us. Flashlights are out too. There's the light in the driveway. It's not you can't see.
It was misty that night?
I don't recall it being misty.
You don't recall it being misty or rainy?
No,
You don't recall the grass being wet?
I do not.
You don't recall any sort of precipitation whatsoever?
I don't recall, but I don't recall mist specifically.
And you said you were in the house in the basement, correct?
Yeah.
And that it was a typical high school party, typical high school things were going on, right?
Yeah.
What were those typical high school things that were going on at that party?
Listening to music. People having a couple drinks together. Might have had a pong table, I'm not sure, but just people hanging out, listening to music, having a good time, hanging out.
You said might have had a pong table. What's a pong
Like
table?
a table to play beer pong.
And what's beer pong?
So when each team has 10 cups, and you shoot a ping pong ball into each other's cups, and whoever makes all 10 first wins.
How old was the oldest person that was attending this party?
Could have been 19, 18 or 19.
No adults present?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So you told us before that maybe some folks had some beers, they'd brought their own. Now you're telling us that there might have been a beer pong table set up and people might have been playing beer
Yeah,
pong?
but by beer pong, I don't specifically mean every single cup is filled with beer, because we've come to learn that it's a lot easier to fill them with water, because then you could just keep playing and play the game.
Okay, so are you telling us that this night there were people playing pong with water?
I'm not telling you specifically, I don't recall, but if 95% of the time that is the situation, because you get your beer all gross.
And you told us that at some point you became aware that these St. Joe's kids had arrived and they were outside, correct?
Yeah.
How did you become aware of that?
So initially there was a text that said we were here. Someone ran outside, didn't see him, and then someone else was like, "There's a car outside," and that's when we all flowed outside.
And you described that car as being parked outside down towards the corner of Adams, correct?
Yeah.
And that car was on the other side of the street, correct?
Yes.
And then you told us that you all collectively headed outside, right?
Yeah.
Was that all 30 or 40 of you?
Few stragglers may have fallen back, but the majority made their way outside.
And who were you standing beside when you headed outside?
I don't recall fully who I walked out with. We kind of just all funneled out, so we just walked outside.
Did you head outside with Tanner Chernowski?
Yeah.
Did you head outside with Ryan Hines?
But yeah, he came out.
Did you head outside with Michael Sampieri?
If Samp went outside, I wasn't specifically saying I'm with any of them. Some of them were outside, yes.
Why did you go outside?
Because I went outside. They were in the group chat. They said they're here. Curiosity. Walk outside. Everyone else was going.
You were just curious about what was going to happen after you told them to come
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
43
go.
Laurel Glen
I'm
Drive
gonna
after
go
the fight.
confront them. Yeah, I'm gonna go outside. But this was more of like me and Hines were like youngins to everyone there. We looked like we were the little kids there, so they were kind of taking control. And it was more like people. They were all known. The defendants and his friends have known some of the people that were at the Rich's house.
Okay. And then when everybody gets outside, you've told us about them going up to the Honda Pilot, correct? Mm-hmm. And you said that at this point they all surrounded the Honda Pilot, right?
Yeah.
And they were touching the Honda Pilot, right?
I'm looking from the front. I don't know if they eventually did when they began rocking it. Yes.
Began rocking the car?
Yeah.
You were shown a picture of the Honda Pilot, correct?
Yes, we were.
You were shown this picture. Is that the Honda Pilot that you recall seeing?
Yes, it is.
We gotta rotate it. That looks like the Honda Pilot that you saw.
Yeah.
The outside windshield. Just a moment, Mr. Marslinzik. I'm trying to get an exhibit. I'm going to show you exhibit number 31, close up of that Honda Pilot. You agree that's the same vehicle?
Yeah.
And when that vehicle arrived and you first saw it, it didn't have that shattered windshield, did it?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I didn't see anyone specifically make that happen. So I don't know if they arrived with it or left with it.
Okay. How did you come out when you got to the car when you went outside?
Where was I parallel to the car? I was
How did you come out of the house?
through the umbilical doors out of the basement around the house.
What kind of doors?
Like the umbilical ones, like the basement doors.
Okay. And can you describe umbilical doors for us?
It's like the ones that open. Like, I don't know, if this is a house, they're slanted like this and they open. And there's a staircase that goes into the basement.
Okay. And then you came out and you described for us how you walked down the pathway?
Yes.
And where did you go? If you want to use the exhibit behind you, you went beside the square cement?
That's the second time when they come back. The first
Okay.
time initially, we all come down the driveway.
Oh, you all came down
Yeah,
the
we
driveway?
all walked out. I don't know specifically the driveway, but we all walked out to the car.
So you remember that? You remember how you got out of the house?
Yes.
You don't remember whether or not that windshield was shattered beforehand?
I wasn't paying attention to if their car was beat up or not.
You were standing right at the front by the passenger side, right?
Yeah, I wasn't like on the car. I was a few feet back. I was looking through the windshield, but I don't remember if there was a crack there or not.
Which
Looking at the
side
people.
of the windshield would you say that defect is in?
The passenger side.
The side you were standing closest to?
Yeah.
You didn't notice whether
Well,
or not it was shattered?
I wasn't looking for shattered glass, and you probably can't really tell it's cracked either when it's nighttime. You know, it's got a light on it with a flashlight taking a picture of it, so it reflects back a little bit. I didn't recognize if there was a crack or not.
I see. You did notice, however, that these kids were all now surrounding the car and that at some point they started to shake the car.
Yes.
They started to throw things at the car.
I don't know if anyone threw anything at that point.
They started to pound on the car.
Yeah, probably just banging on the windows.
Somebody reached in and punched somebody that was inside the car.
I didn't see any of that.
You didn't see that?
I didn't see if anyone got punched while in the car.
You were standing on the passenger side. How far away from the car itself?
Probably 4 to 6 feet back.
Could you have reached out and touched the car?
No.
Did you reach out and touch the car?
Did I touch the car? Not to my recollection, no.
Not to your recollection?
Yeah, I don't recall encountering and going up and touching the car.
Is that the kind of thing you'd forget?
What do you mean? Like, would I forget touching the car?
Yes.
Probably not.
But you simply don't recall whether or not you touched the car?
I didn't touch the car.
You didn't.
I didn't touch the car.
Now you recall that you didn't touch the car.
Yeah.
These other people were all touching the car.
Yeah, they were on the sides of it. I was in the front, so I can't do anything from the front of the car.
I see. You distanced yourself from the car.
Essentially, yeah.
You distanced yourself from the group.
Not from the group. I was still with people.
Same people that had you feel like you had to text the address.
I'm going to object as to argumentative.
I'll allow it overruled.
Sorry, but what was that?
These same people that you felt like were making you text the address.
I didn't feel like I was made to text anybody the address, but sure.
So you went outside. Folks, there was, you described there as being a chain of cars that were there, correct?
Yeah, there was a couple cars parked on the opposite side of the road as well.
There were cars parked on both sides of the road, right?
Yes, but significantly more on the other side.
Significantly more cars were parked
Yeah,
on the other
there
side
There
of
might
the
have
road.
been one or two car parked near the mailbox, but there was on the other side.
It was lined up with at least like 4 to 6 of them.
Okay. So the chain of cars were there. Were you standing between
I
the
was-
pilot and another car?
They weren't too close to the other car because they were able to put it in drive and drive forward while turning left. So they were slacked back a little bit, but essentially, yeah, I was technically between 2 cars.
Okay.
But it wasn't a close gap.
And you described that water bottles and a WD-40 can were thrown out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Or were they thrown at the vehicle?
No, the WD-40 can came out, which someone picked it up on the road and threw it back.
Okay. Was anything else thrown back at the vehicle?
There was like a water jug tossed. But once they started driving up and down, like slowly, majority of us would fade into the inside. But a couple people trickled, like stayed outside, and that was really it. Like they just kept driving up and down. We thought it had been done by that point.
How many times did they drive up and down?
3, 4 times.
Not 2 to 3?
Well, including their first speed down, then they come down and back up again, so it's at least 3.
Could you see how many people were inside the vehicle?
I know there was more. I didn't see specifically how many. There could have just been 4 of them. I don't think it was full.
Now, when you were part of the group that collectively surrounded this car, you
Yeah.
wanted them to exit the vehicle, right?
At that point in time, we didn't really have a game plan or an approach. We just went and were going to talk with them, which obviously was a little bit hostile, but we didn't know what was going to happen or what would happen.
You didn't want to get payback for the Lazy Brook Road?
Sure, it was in thoughts, but at that point in time, they're all sitting in a car. You can't do anything, so
Can't do anything except lay hands on it, start rocking it, throw things at it, smash the windshield.
yeah, sure. We rocked it and threw things at it because things were thrown. Like I had said before, I don't recall anyone doing anything to the windshield. I'm not saying it wasn't us or it was, but I didn't see any of that.
You collectively attacked the vehicle, fair to say?
Objection is the characterization.
I'll overrule it. You can answer it.
I wouldn't say attacked. We had a mass of people. I wouldn't say necessarily attacked.
No, you wouldn't. And you also can't tell us who laid hands on the vehicle, can you?
No, there's a lot of people.
Yes, you told us who was there. Enrico Fiola was present.
Yeah.
Sal Perry was present.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Samperi was present.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Burnson was present.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner was present.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Jacob Villalobos was present. And you knew all these guys very well, correct?
Yeah.
You played sports with all of them, correct?
Mhm.
You grew up with all these kids,
I
correct?
did.
But you can't tell us who it was that started shaking the vehicle.
It's not that I couldn't tell you who. It's that I didn't specifically look around and remember who was who. I know who all my friends are, obviously, yes, but I don't know where their positions are. I don't know their experiences. I was paying attention to myself and looking at the car. I wasn't watching everyone else's doings.
Isn't it that you don't want to tell us? You don't want to tell us what your friends did that night?
Honestly, I wish I could, but I don't know.
Well, you can. Go ahead, tell us.
Well, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know where my friends' position were or where they were, no.
But you knew how you came out of that house.
Yeah, because I
I'm going to
walked
object
it.
this asked and answered at this point.
I'll sustain the objection.
And you're telling us that they drove up and down the road 3 to 4 times, you've said?
Yeah.
Multiple times. And that at some point they drove off down towards Farmhouse Lane, correct? Mm-hmm. And would you agree that that is about 2 football fields away from where the Rich House is?
Yeah, it's a good distance.
And you claim that you saw only 2 of your friends walk down towards Farmhouse Lane, right?
I just knew 2 specifically. There could have been more. I know that Ricky and Tyler went and encountered him.
Do you know that because they told you that, or because you saw that?
They were the ones that actually had discussed that they were going to go down and talk to them. So once they started going, I came back and I don't know if anyone else trailed after them.
Did you see them go down to Farmhouse Lane?
Yeah, I saw them. I walked inside, but I watched them head towards Lido. Yes.
Those, you think only those 2 people were the ones that walked down there?
No, I just know that those 2 people. I don't know specifically who else.
And you told us you didn't hear anything go on down there?
No,
at
I went
Farmhouse
back
Lane?
inside.
You went back inside. You remember that?
Yes.
Who else went back inside with you?
Majority of people.
Alex Burnson?
I'm not sure. At that time, I had just kind of met Burns. So I wasn't really looking out for him.
Did Enrico Fiola go back inside with you?
No,
Did Sal Perry go back inside with you?
I'm not sure.
Did Mike Samperi go back inside with you?
I'm not sure.
Did Tanner Chernowski go back inside with you?
I'm not sure.
Did Jacob Villalobos go back inside with you?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of us. You're naming 6 of the 40 kids. I don't know where everyone's exact whereabouts were at every given moment. I apologize.
No apology necessary. When you spoke with officers before, though, you didn't mention anything to them about friends going down to Farmhouse Lane, did you?
Well, I was in a panic and just explained what I had actually, the big things. It didn't
So
come
you
down
didn't
to
tell
details.
them about that, correct?
I don't remember exactly what I told them. That was 3 years ago.
You told them that everybody went back inside and only one person remained outside to see if the St. Joe's kids were going to come back, right?
No, I didn't specifically said that. I just know that somebody, I don't know how many people, but majority had funneled in and someone had mentioned that they were back.
And that one kid just stayed outside to see if the St. Joe's kids were going to come back, right?
Yeah, someone actually was outside. I don't remember who it was, and they were looking, but it wasn't like.
Well, did one kid stay outside, or did two kids go down to Farmhouse Lane?
Those are two separate events. They went down and spoke to them. Then when they were down at the, I don't know anything that happened in that conversation, what they saw, what they said, anything about it, but I watched them walk down the road towards them. And then at separate times, we all funneled back inside. Someone was outside still. I don't know if they were looking for them, but someone was still outside, and then they had mentioned that they had came back.
Who was that?
It was someone just yelled like they're back, and everyone was like, "What?" and all funneled out the back doors. Like,
And in fact, you continued texting throughout this time period, didn't you?
I think the texting died down a lot once they had fully arrived. There was a couple texts sent. Yeah.
There were a couple of texts sent, or you sent texts, Mr. Marcinse?
Well, multiple people sent texts. I included. Yes.
You sent texts,
Yeah,
correct?
I sent texts. They sent texts. Multiple people sent texts.
In fact, you snapped a photograph of Mr. Snyder's car sitting outside and texted that with a caption on it, taunting them, didn't you?
Yeah.
This was after they had shown up and driven away, correct?
No, that's as they just showed up. I took that picture first thing.
Oh, so you took that picture before you went outside.
No, I took that picture outside when they had arrived.
And you said, sitting ducks, ODE, very scared, right?
Yes.
And then you asked, how's your car, pussy? Fold, that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was after you'd gotten out?
It's after they had driven up and down, I believe.
That's after they'd driven up and
Or
down the
driven
street.
up.
You're continuing to text them at that point, right?
I believe so.
Are you still feeling pressure to do that from other people?
I never felt any pressure in the first place to be texting them.
Oh, okay. You didn't feel pressure before when you sent the LGD, 43 LGD address?
No, there wasn't pressure to do that. It was dudes being dudes talking.
Just dudes talking?
I mean, yeah, we were expecting to fight, not any of this.
You were expecting to fight.
Once we had told them to come, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have them come and there'd be no point in having them come. Yeah.
Did you say 43 Laurel Glen Drive, 30 to 40 dudes here?
I don't exactly recall, but if I did, then yeah.
Okay. You didn't mention those texts, however, when you were talking with the police, right?
I don't recall. I don't think so. I don't know that it wasn't asked. Once I was asked about them, I told them about them, yeah.
Oh, once you were asked about them, you told them that they
Okay,
existed, but before that, you didn't think that was important to share with them?
Not really. It was argumentative. It's a lot of just hearsay nonsense back and forth between the two of us. Yes, I told them where to go, but that doesn't invite anything that happened on that night.
Mr. Marcinse, you didn't tell the cops about that because you thought it might get you in trouble, didn't you?
I don't know exactly what my thoughts were when I was 16. I could have been scared. I'm not sure.
You didn't think maybe you'd get in trouble for luring somebody over and then getting into a fight?
I mean, you said it yourself. I said the address with how many people. I wouldn't necessarily call that luring. They knew what they were getting themselves into.
Sir, what I said was you texted them the address, but you didn't say 30 to 40 dudes here, did you?
That's what you said.
That's not what I said, sir. Is
Well,
that
I
what
had a
you
misconception.
said?
I need to be looking at the same text you're looking at. I don't remember text I sent 3 years ago.
Okay. Let's see. At some point, you described there was a second encounter when the car came back, correct?
Yeah.
And you were inside when the car returned?
Yeah, when I had gotten outside, the car was already parked in the street.
I'm talking about the second encounter when the car comes back, as you described, and the fight occurs out on the lawn. Okay?
Yes, the fight. Yes, when we When everyone gets outside, the car's already parked, and the two of them are making their way towards the yard.
How did you know that the car was already outside?
There was a bunch of us there. They had said that the car had returned.
Did you see the car outside?
Did I see it return?
Yes.
Like, did I watch it come to a complete stop and return? No, I did not.
Where were you when the car
I
returned?
was inside.
You were inside the house?
Yes.
And so you came to learn that the car had returned because somebody...
It was just, we were all together. It was known, yes.
Did you just see people start to funnel outside, or did you hear somebody say, hey, the car's here?
Both.
Both of those things
Yeah,
occurred.
if the car's here, we funneled outside.
And you didn't think, guys, we should stay inside right now. There's really no need to go outside the house if the car's back.
No, obviously not. I should have. It's a more mature way to look at it, yeah. But I was 16 and immature and walked outside to go watch a fight.
Go watch a fight.
Yeah, because at that point, no one was really involved. Like, the people arguing were the people arguing now.
So at some point, you get back outside into the yard. You see Tyler DeSilva out there.
Yes.
You see Raul Valle out there.
Yes.
And you see Jack Snyder out there.
Jack Snyder was driving.
Jack Snyder was driving is what you told us here today, but when you spoke with the cops, you said all three of them got out of the vehicle. Did you not?
I don't recall if I said that back then. Like, I might have misconstrued it a little bit. All three of them were there, but Jack remained in the vehicle.
And you did tell the officers that all three of the parties were out of the vehicle with the doors open, correct?
I mean, at one point, all doors were open on the vehicle.
You said everyone exited the house and approached the three parties on the lawn, correct?
Yeah.
Three parties.
Yeah.
Snyder, DeSilva, and Valley, correct?
Yeah, I said that in the moment. I don't know why I said that, honestly, but probably didn't assume two dudes would hop out and fight everyone. I thought maybe he was out of the car. I didn't see him somewhere, but then I noticed him in the car once they got in and instantly drove off.
And in fact, when you got out, you saw Tyler Rich and Tyler DeSilva talking, correct?
Yeah, there were words.
Were they fighting at that point?
No.
And to your knowledge, did Mr. DeSilva and Mr. Rich know each other?
I can't speak. I want to say they did, but I'm not sure.
And you said that they began exchanging words, correct?
Yeah.
And at this point, how many people from the party, the Shelton kids, were out there in the lawn?
Majority of us.
30 to 40?
Probably 30. Not all kids were outside, and I know kids that stayed inside.
Who were you standing beside?
What was that? Sorry.
Who were you standing beside?
I was kind of near the vicinity of Tanner. I wasn't really like up with everyone, or with anybody specifically. Like, I was just kind of observing.
What was Tanner doing?
At the time, Tanner was observing, and then he pulled out his phone and eventually recorded.
Tanner was filming this?
Eventually, once the fight broke out, yeah, he took a video.
Was he the only person filming?
I'm not sure, but at least to my knowledge, yes.
You were standing over by where Mr. DeSilva was on the ground being attacked, correct?
Yeah, well, him and Rich were wrestling on the ground, yes.
It wasn't just Mr. DeSilva and Mr. Rich that were going at it by themselves, was it?
Honestly, they were like, them two were the main ones. They were on the ground with each other. It's not like no one else was with Tyler on the ground, or Tyler Rich I'm referring to. Like, no one else was helping him on the ground. But it was mainly just them two kind of going back and forth on the ground.
Just the two of them. Everybody was standing back to the side, letting them go at it.
I'm not going to speak up for people, or specifics, or like, I'm sure he caught a shot or two from somebody else, but like, it was mainly like, I remember seeing him on the ground. Rich had his shirt pulled up. DeSilva's whole back was out. I remember seeing it. Rich was on the ground. DeSilva was on top of him, but Rich kind of had him in like a chokehold kind of thing, but like not really. Like, just like holding him down so he couldn't like get on top of him.
And you had such a good view of that because somebody was using their phone to live stream that, and the flashlight was on, wasn't it?
There was flashlights on, yeah.
And somebody was live streaming that whole thing, weren't they?
Live streaming?
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody was live streaming this.
You don't think anybody was live
I have
streaming
no
this?
I have no knowledge of anyone live streaming this
You
event.
think somebody just pulled out their phone and turned on the flashlight and was holding it up to show the fight going on?
Are you confusing a video for a live stream? Because a live stream is lively streamed, and a video is not live streamed. It's a. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
I appreciate the distinction, sir. I'm not confused.
So you are asking about a live stream? No, I don't. To my knowledge, no one recorded a live stream. No.
Not to your knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I've never heard once of a live stream.
But you would agree that somebody had their phone out, it was open, and at least it had the flashlight on, correct?
Yeah.
And that was shining on Mr. De Silva and the fight that was going on there, correct?
Yes.
You saw that.
Yes.
You were close to that.
Yeah.
You said the scene was chaotic, correct?
Yeah.
You've told us today that there were only 2 people that were in the yard that were fighting from the St. Joe's kids, correct?
Yes.
You told the officers there were 3, that it included Mr. Snyder, correct?
There were 3 involved. I could have said it like that. He wasn't literally involved in the fight, but he was their driver.
And you said Mr. Rich and Mr. De Silva began exchanging words, and they soon became involved in a physical altercation, correct?
Yes, they eventually were involved in an altercation, yes.
Again, how did they become involved in a physical altercation?
Well, once it looked like to us that Lito was going to swing on our friend Ty, Rich had just thrown a punch onto him and then stopped worrying about him, and him and De Silva started fighting.
I see. You said we thought that Lito was going to
Like that was
throw a
like
punch.
everyone kind of saw it, like at least what.
Sir, you don't know what everyone saw, do you?
No, I don't. You're right. I'm sorry. I don't know. We all saw it, but I saw him make a little move towards Ty, and Rich punched him, and then he turned towards De Silva because whoever was over there was just dealing with that.
You saw Mr. Valle
Yeah, that's what started the fight, and then
make
once
a movement of some sort?
yeah, like they were squared
Describe
up to
that
each
movement.
other. Just like he was like it was. He didn't make a big enough movement, but he twitched like in the wrong way that looked like it could have been aggressive, and obviously Rich is going to defend his boy.
So the first punch was thrown by a Shelton High kid. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that punch hit Mr. Valle, didn't it?
Yes.
And thereafter, it did become chaotic, didn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, everybody swarmed, the 30 or 40 of you, the 2 people that were there in that yard, correct?
No, there was a lot of people also watching. It wasn't like obviously we're not gonna like you saw pictures of them afterwards. They didn't get stomped on by multiple tens of people. Like it was there was a couple kids, yeah, on each of them, but like I once the fight broke out, I didn't see Lito anymore because it kind of the crowd and it went down. The crowd blocked it all, and I was just looking at De Silva fighting Rich.
The crowd blocked it off because they were swarming. There were at least 8 to 10 people attacking both of them, correct?
I can't say. I didn't see 8 to 10 people on De Silva, but I can't speak for Lito.
Did you see Mr. Villalobos involved in the fight?
Towards the end, he actually put De Silva to his feet and shoved him towards the road with the help of a few of his other buddies.
Did you see that, or did you watch a video?
No, that happened because when I was watching De Silva fight, he got lifted up and pushed out.
You saw that yourself?
Yeah, I was watching. Like I said, I was able to see the De Silva interaction.
Okay. Did you see Charles Connery involved in the fight?
I did not see him involved. No.
Did you see Ryan Hines involved in the fight?
He was. I know he was on the left side, but he was in Lito's area. They were all crowded together, so I didn't see him specifically do anything.
Didn't see Sal Perry involved in the fight?
I'm not sure.
You didn't see Michael Sampieri involved in the fight?
I did not see Michael at the time, no.
Didn't see Alex Burnson involved in the fight?
I saw Alex Bernstein.
Oh, what did you see Alex Burnson do?
He would when he threw a couple punches at De Silva, but nothing crazy. Like he threw some extra ones, but while Rich was wrestling him, he gave him a few.
Was he wearing a shirt?
I think he had it off.
It's hard to tell because there were a couple of folks that took off their shirts for this, right?
I'm not sure. Burns a big dude, so he stood out, and I'm pretty sure he had his shirt off.
Did you see Mr. McGrath involved in the fight?
I did not. He was on the other side.
Did you see Tyler Rich involved in the fight?
Yes.
Did you see Faison Teal involved in the fight?
I did not. He was on the other side as well.
Did you see Michael Lokovich involved in the fight?
I don't recall if he was involved, but he was in my general area of like De Silva.
Did you see Tommy Connery involved in the fight?
He was also on the farther side, so I'm not sure if he was in there or not.
In fact, it was hard to see what was going on the other side because that side had encircled and descended upon Mr. Valle, correct?
Objection, he said he didn't see.
Sustained.
Did you say that you didn't see or that it was hard to see?
I didn't see. Once the people came in front of me, I said it. I didn't see at first and followed it up by saying it was hard to see, but I meant for both. I couldn't see. People were swarming. Yes, I didn't see it, but I didn't specifically see anyone go to the ground on him. Multiple people, so I can't speak on that.
People swarmed him, correct?
Objection, just testified he couldn't see.
Sir, overruled. You can answer that if you know.
Like, obviously, people huddled around, but I didn't I saw more people standing than doing anything.
Did you remain in that same position throughout the course of this fight, where you've described by the red bush and the cement square? You did not yourself throw any punches?
No.
And you described Tanner Chernowski, your cousin, as you've described him, the closeness, filming this, correct?
Yes.
He took his phone out and didn't call 911, but started filming what was going on.
Yeah.
And he was walking back and forth filming this, correct?
No, I believe he's stationary. Maybe moves a couple feet left and right, but not really moving around. The video, you can really only see De Silva. Like I said, his side's over there.
But you described yourself seeing Mr. Valle go to the car.
Yeah, because the car was...
Like I said, it's more in that where the area it is. They're fighting back more up.
So when he runs out of his area, he's now kind of behind. Like from my view, he runs behind where De Silva is, and you see the car door open. I watch him open the car door, and then the light turns on. We all a couple of us put our attention over there, which Tanner also noticed, and then he runs back.
And you saw that.
Yeah, once he runs back, I lost him again because he ran out of my view.
And you described Mr. Chernowski taking a video of this, correct?
Yes.
You've watched that video, have you not?
Yeah, I've been shown it.
When was the first time you saw that video?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think the first time I saw it was when I was shown it
Who showed it to you?
by the detectives, because Tanner didn't send that video anywhere, and he told everyone he deleted it the night of, but he kept it and gave it to the cops.
He didn't show it to you?
No, that night I wasn't worried about watching a video.
Cops showed that to you. That's your testimony?
I believe so. I don't have any prior knowledge of the video.
And you told us that you didn't see anyone get stabbed with a knife, correct?
And I didn't directly watch a knife enter somebody, no.
In fact, you didn't see a knife at any point. Is that
No.
fair to say?
Yes.
You were watching both of these fights going on, but your attention was divided, fair to say?
Yeah, and once it became divided, it mainly focused just onto De Silva's fight.
And you'd had at least 2 or 3 beers?
Yeah, in the span of those 4 hours.
And you
Or
were
early
16
in
at the
night.
time?
Yes, I was.
And you told the officers that Snyder, De Silva, and Valle hopped back into the Pilot and drove off towards Adams.
Yeah, well, they were all into the car and they drove off.
And you told us you'd been friends with Mr. McGrath, correct?
Yeah.
And that you'd known him since you were very young, correct?
Correct.
And would you describe him as a cousin the same way you described Mr. Chernowski?
Nah, because once we went to high school, obviously he went to prep. We grew apart a little bit, but it was still always love when we saw each other.
You would describe him as somebody who was the toughest kid you know, right?
Yeah, on a field, he was an animal.
And that he wouldn't back down from anyone, right?
No?
And that if he saw his friends getting into a fight, he would join that fight, right?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Doesn't, if not, if that's what he said, I'll overrule. The question continues to be, you've said. Is that correct, Attorney Smith?
I beg your pardon, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Does the question continue to be that you've said these things?
That he
my
would
understanding.
describe him as that.
Describe him as?
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
I'll allow it overruled.
I'm sorry, repeat.
That you would describe him as somebody who, if he saw his friends being in a fight, he would go out and join it, correct?
Depending on the situation. If he saw his boys winning, probably not.
If he saw his boys winning, probably
Yeah,
not.
Yeah, like he wouldn't just jump into a fight to fight.
But if he saw someone punching his boys, he'd probably hop in.
Objection is to probably.
Sustained.
Mr. Marcinzik, at some point you also engaged in doing an identification of folks that were there with the officers, correct?
Yes.
And you identified Mr. Valle as having been there.
I'm sorry, what was the end of that?
You identified Mr. Valle as having been there.
Yes.
You also identified another person as having been involved, correct?
Tyler De Silva?
Anybody else?
Not sure.
When you were telling the State's Attorney Durso about watching this fight go on in the yard, you described De Silva as being in a wrestling match, right?
Yeah, like they were on the ground, like together, Rich and De Silva, so I would call that grappling with each other.
Just Rich and De Silva involved in a wrestling match by themselves.
Well, they were the main two on the ground. Like, yeah, you obviously caught a couple strays. There's plenty of people, but I don't know from who.
What do you mean by caught a couple strays?
Like, they're on the ground, someone's gonna just throw a sneaky punch or throw a sneaky kick, like, just exactly like what they did to Hines at Lazy Brook.
Well, and you described Mr. Lakovich as being in the area, correct?
Yeah.
Villalobos was in the area, correct?
Yeah.
Burnson was in the area, correct? Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, you have to.
Sorry.
For the record. But they weren't just in the area, were they?
I mean, I know Byrne was throwing some punches, yes, but I don't recall exactly if Locke and Villa were fully in there like that.
Would you agree that you are very clear on the facts about how you came in and out of the house and where you stood?
Yeah.
Would you agree that you are less clear about who threw punches and who was involved?
I would, yes, with the fight aspect.
Would you agree that all of the Shelton High kids were friends of yours?
I mean, yeah, they've all known each other.
You don't want to see any of them get in trouble, do you?
No, but they necessarily couldn't really get in any trouble at this point in time, so I wouldn't be doing them a favor.
Okay. You continued to text even after the fight had ended, correct?
I believe I had sent some text once because my phone was being nonstop lit up with calls, and I pulled out my phone to look at them, and I had noticed a text from them first, so I responded. I think I remember what they were as well.
Oh, what were they?
The final text was that I received a text that said, "Let me know how surgery goes," and I responded out of childness. I was like, "Bro, look at your face. You'll probably never get a girl." Not really knowing the severity, just throwing something, but that's why I responded, because I read that text.
You responded to Mr. Snyder, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder said something about surgery, correct?
Yes.
And you responded something about look at your face?
Yeah. I didn't know whose number that was, so I just gave it was a random number to me, so assumed it was maybe one of the people fighting since he's sitting, like, I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know who it was at the time.
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
You told us when the swarm occurred on Mr. Valle, you couldn't see Mr. Valle anymore at that point, correct?
I couldn't really point anyone out in specific. There was
And you didn't
people.
see him again until you saw
he
him
ran
at the
into the
car,
road.
correct? And then when he came back onto the lawn again, you lost sight of him again at that point, correct?
I had lost sight of him, and the only thing that I had heard was Charlie Connery scream twice that he had a knife.
You lost sight of him because that group swarmed him again, correct?
No, he came back into it. He had all will to leave and brought himself back into it.
That's your opinion, sir?
I don't know. I watched him wailing. Like, no one pulled him back in from that car. He ran to their car and came straight back in.
And you couldn't see him because all of your Shelton High friends were blocking your view, correct?
Yeah, I wasn't the tallest 3 years ago, so
I feel your pain. You could be unable to see them because they were taller and they were also forming a circle, were they not?
honestly, a circle probably would have made it easier for me to see him if they fully surrounded him, because majority of the people, it was like a wall, so I couldn't see him.
Could you see Mr. McGrath at that point?
No, I wasn't. I didn't. Maybe I saw him. I didn't notice it was Jimmy at the time. No.
Could you see Michael Sampieri?
Sorry, what was that, Michael?
Could you see Michael Sampieri?
I don't know exactly where Michael was. No.
Could you see Michael Lakovich?
He was around me. Yeah.
Could you see Jacob Villalobos?
Yeah. He pushed Tyler into the road. I think Locke might have helped with that too.
Could you see them at the time that you could no longer see Mr. Valle?
Like, once they split, was I able to see Locke and Lobos? Yeah, I wasn't focused on them. Like, I never really took screenshots in my mind of all the people that were around and everything. I know who was there, but I don't know the specifics of who was where, when, and where, and how.
This was a chaotic scene, right?
Yeah.
You heard a lot of people screaming, right?
Yes.
In fact, before you heard Charlie Connery screaming about a knife, you heard other people screaming other things, right?
Not necessarily, because Charlie yelling he has a knife was significantly louder, and like everyone heard Charlie yell that.
You didn't hear anything being said when Tyler DeSilva was being attacked?
No. At least I don't recall. Like, it was scuffling and shit talk. I don't remember exactly everything that was said.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right. I'm assuming there's going to be some redirect?
Yes.
Is that correct? All right, this is a good time to take our morning recess.